Why is there so much fear surrounding Mercury retrograde? In this video, I want to break down some talking points surrounding Mercury retrograde to see if what we see out there a lot on social media is really legitimate surrounding this transit. So let's dive in. Okay, so I have my list of talking points here, and I'm just going to go through one by one, and we're kind of just going to discuss, and I'll intuitively tune in as well when I feel to, although I feel I'll just get guidance along the way. About what comes through here, just surrounding my experience, my guidance surrounding this, and to maybe help people to question a lot of maybe what they see out there on social media, especially surrounding things that are very negative and fearful. One thing they're reminding me of now is that my guidance on astrology it's how it is used. Okay, astrology is an energetic template conducive to certain things. It's how it is used. So it's not like this is just going to happen to you in this way because of this strict definition. It's like, no, this is an energetic template. It's how we use it. It's our intention behind this energy and what we place on it. And that will lead me into my first talking point here, which Mercury, there's a common claim. Well, I don't know if I'm seeing this as a common claim, but I don't know if it really is a common claim that Mercury physically moves backward or slows in its orbit. It doesn't. Okay, it's like an illusionary effect, except it's not really illusionary. We actually see it as such because Mercury's orbit is smaller than that of Earth's, and Mercury also moves slightly faster. So Mercury actually moves for one orbit of the Earth, Mercury does just over 4. Okay, and that's due to its smaller orbit and slightly faster speed. Now, in saying that, there are times when Mercury is coming, back around where we can see it appear as moving backwards. Okay, because it's where we exist within the energetic system, and they're drawing me to my guidance again, in that I've been guided that it's your position within space-time that matters. Okay, this is why they're wanting me to talk about this idea of the precession of the Earth or precession of the equinoxes, and this idea of, the constellations aren't in the right place anymore. They're wanting me to say again that astrology isn't about the constellations that you see in the sky. It is about the energetic cycles and the 360 degrees of the chart and these 12 principles or concepts that exist. Each physical constellation is not exactly 30 degrees. Okay, so to say it relates to the constellations it just doesn't. It relates to geometric and mathematical calculations based off of energies that are pre-existing within the universe. If you want more on my guidance specifically on this, you can head on over to my website, mysticalmark.ca, in the What is Astrology section, where I break this down a lot more. But what they're trying to say with that is, because of the precession, it's like the Earth is just at a slight tilt, but the Earth doesn't actually move from its orbit. Okay, so we're still in this orbital period, and so it's about our position within space-time, not necessarily your perception of it. Even though with Mercury retrograde, we're perceiving it as going backwards, it doesn't actually move backwards. However, due to the mathematical movements, Mercury does in fact cover those degree grounds. If you count the shadow periods, it covers those grounds 3 times. In fact, any planet does during the retrograde. It has the shadow period, and then it has its, what we would mainly call the retrograde. So it moves over that same section within that 360-degree chart or circle 3 times. They're reminding me again to say here that astrology is done from the perspective of the Earth within its orbit. Okay? Bringing me back to the precession thing again, the Earth has a slight tilt or a slight wobble, but the Earth doesn't leave its orbit. So it's from the orbit itself. The orbit itself does not change, and that's where this is calculated from. Okay? And they're also saying that in relation to your position within space-time and other planets' positions and how they affect it. I think if you read that What is Astrology page on my website, it kind of makes a lot more sense in terms of what I am saying here. So it does have that effect, and it is a mathematically calculated thing, obviously within the astrology chart. So it doesn't move backwards. It's just that it covers that ground 3 times. And they're letting me know again, this is where you get that reflective and retrospective aspect again, is because it's doing this, it then carries that vibe or that energy to it, okay, in terms of that reflective and retrospective thing, or that aspect. The next point here is every Mercury retrograde affects everybody. The actual guidance that I'm getting is, so we're going to say that as in, well, we'll say it as in no, but they're reminding me again that it's about how this energy is used. Okay, this is an energetic template. This is how this energy is being used. And it also affects your energy individually as well. So it's going to, they say there's general overall effects to, let's say, the Earth itself as it exists within an energetic system. And then there's the individual in your specific position, like on the Earth or your own energy, etc. in that way, okay? So there's an overall energy, and then there's more precise when it comes to you as an individual. They're reminding me again, and what I kind of missed on before, what they were guiding me to previously, is that we do astrology based on Earth within Earth's orbit. So let's say if you're on Mars and you're to do astrology there, you'd have to do it from the perspective of Mars, okay? And not using the same astrology that we do. You obviously use like the same chart and everything else, but you would have to calculate it from Mars orbit's Mars perspective, not in the same way that we calculate it from Earth, okay? So they're trying to have that differentiation here, is that it's your position within space and time that matters. Okay, but in terms of it affecting everybody, not necessarily. And it's just simply because it is how we use this energy. And if you're someone that normally has, your shit together, well, the likelihood of you having to fix a lot of things in your life during a period that energetically attracts that is minimal to none. And you can kind of just keep going. So the next talking point here is the entire shadow period is dangerous. Now, no. I'm just going to say no. It is not. Whether it's pre-shadow or post-shadow. I mean, what comes up in the shadow period is likely to occur again within the retrograde and in the post-shadow, simply because that energy or that position in the chart is being traversed 3 times, okay? Like, that's just how it is. But it's not something that's dangerous. None of this is dangerous. The word that I'm getting right now is intent. So it's about our intent behind the use of these energies. It's about our intent when we go into these things. It's always about our desire and intent and what we want to do and create with these energies. It's not like you shouldn't, and they're also saying when people are put into fear, then they create their own intent of fear. Okay, and then that then projects and could potentially become manifest. All right, so when putting out fear-based materials like this, people are honestly doing a disservice in that you could just be potentially putting someone into fear. Now, this is different than, let's say, a warning, or you should be careful, or you should be whatever. There's a difference between empowering someone and offering a solution and simply just putting someone into a fear space and then that's it, okay? You don't want to do that. We don't want to do that, all right? The next thing is that it's like what I see written here is like the storm and the shadow are the same. I'm assuming the storm is the retrograde itself. They could have the same or similar effects, but I wouldn't call it a storm. It's like people are relating this to like a very negative experience. Okay, it's just, it doesn't have to be, because I'm getting, again, it's about your intent. It's about your intent behind these things. And yes, the energy of Mercury retrograde and other retrogrades too can bring up this reevaluation. But with Mercury retrograde, especially as it relates to maybe things that are like broken or need fixing or whatever, because those are mercurial things, that energy is a vibration. And in the universe, the like vibration is going to attract another like vibration. So if you have this energy that's existing that is likely to attract the vibration of that which needs fixing or reworking or whatever, if you haven't got your shit together or you haven't looked at certain things, yeah, that's going to come up. Okay? It's inevitable at some point to come up. All right? They're reminding me again that it might not even be during a Mercury retrograde. There are countless number of astrological aspects that are occurring every minute of every day. And I include minor aspects in all of that, because minor aspects aren't actually minor, but that's a whole other video. Okay? But this stuff is occurring every single day, and every single one of those is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to apply intent to something, to build, to create, to fix, to move forward, to do whatever. So the Mercury retrograde is just one of those things. It's a bigger one of those things, but it is just one of those things and one of those opportunities. That isn't to say that it can't show up or appear in a completely different way as well. All right, so back to this question of the storm and the shadow are the same. It's like they carry the energy of that retrograde because it's going over that old ground over and over again. But again, I'm getting the word intent. It's about your intent behind it. It's about the intent behind it. And they're bringing up those other things as well, those other aspects that all you can use to bring up the same energy, because it's about our intent behind it. It's like the retrograde is a larger time frame to be able to deal and work with these things. However, those things can be done at any time based on any other energy that is existing there based on the creative use of those energies. Okay, it's just that this is a much more, or the Mercury retrograde is a much more prime energy to be able to deal with these things. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen at any other time, because technically it can. The next point here, which is never sign, launch, interview, travel, buy technology, or make decisions during this time. They're kind of showing me right now like delays or travel delays and things like this. And it's what I said before. The energy of this is bringing up that which needs to be relooked at, fixed. So if you're experiencing delays and stuff, it's because the system itself has a potential issue to cause those things. Okay, and that needs to be relooked at, fixed in whatever way. If you're looking at even with starting something new, I wouldn't say that you can't. I would say that you just have to understand to just make sure you're looking at everything. Make sure you're looking at all of the details. Make sure you're taking care of these things first and taking your time through them, because the retrograde is more of that reflective period. So just take more time. Don't rush through it. Take your time to just have a look at these things, and you can continue to move forward. And as long as you have this mindset of, okay, let's keep having our shit together here, make sure that we're looking at the details, we're taking care of this, yada yada yada, you're going to be fine. It's not going to hurt you in any way. And when you say never sign contracts or something like that, well, read the fucking contract then. Don't just think that it's going to be okay. Right? Actually read and go through it. These are practical things that we have learned and know and understand that can be applied through these periods of time to get through these things. It's not like we don't have the tools to understand and get through this. We do. It's just about changing your mindset to apply these things and to understand these things and to use these situations to actually learn and grow, instead of just thinking, oh, it's horrible right now, it's Mercury retrograde. Well, if something shows up, then deal with it so that it doesn't happen again. So that you don't have another Mercury retrograde issue like it. Okay? And this aspect of not buying technology or making decisions, it's like I said, just don't rush into things. Just, you can continue to move forward. Just have your wits about you, okay? Like, just understand, the energy and just keep going, but just make sure that you're not rushing, you're taking your time, you're looking at the details, etc. Even when making decisions, anything else, you can still move forward. People need to move forward in a lot of ways during whatever energy that exists. And they're reminding me again, it's about how it is used. Okay, so whether it's your intent behind it or whether this energy is literally attracting things in and of itself to bring this into your focus because it needs to be dealt with. Okay, so either way, it's attracting to you what needs to be there based on whatever attraction or intent that exists. So the next one here is one that always comes up as your exes always return. Okay, this is just one of those things that people use for like virality and stuff on social media. Like, your ex could return at any time. They're reminding me again of what I said before about all those other transits that are existing and all those other transit or astrological aspects that are existing right now at any given moment that you could use with intent to build and create or take action on whatever you want. Your ex could show up at any time. Whether it's Mercury retrograde or not, it's up to you whether or not you want to talk to them again. Okay, if they show up and you don't like them, you don't want to talk to them, don't talk to them. Block them, whatever. Like, you have power and control here. Don't just think, oh my God, it's Mercury retrograde. I don't want to talk to my ex. I'm so scared. Oh my God. Okay, don't be ridiculous. If you don't want to talk to them, don't talk to them. Set a boundary. Okay, if they're toxic, if they're whatever, set the fucking boundary and just say no. Whether it's Mercury retrograde or not, it doesn't fucking matter. Okay? You have power. You have control. Just deal with it in the best way that you see fit for yourself in the situation that you're in or whatever. It's not about your exes coming back, okay? It could be a relook at communication or people communicating things again or something like that. But if you don't want that, then just say no. Or if it's something that maybe it's coming back because it has to be dealt with in some way. If it needs to be dealt with, deal with it. But if that person is toxic for you, set a boundary and say no and deal with it in another way. Okay, there's multiple different ways to consider these things or deal with them. It does not have to be just, oh, they're going to come back and oh my God, okay? No. Remember, you have power and control. Honor and respect your boundaries and the boundaries of others. All right? And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Then we have a couple points on Natal Mercury retrograde. So there's Natal Mercury retrograde means poor intelligence or communication. It does not. Are people born during Mercury retrograde are immune or perform better during it? No. Same with that. You could even say in your progressed chart, if you have a progressed Mercury retrograde going on, okay, it doesn't mean that you're going to perform better during regular Mercury retrogrades. They're reminding me it's the intent behind it and how this energy is used. Okay, even in a natal chart, it is not a detriment. They're saying one big overarching or overall example of a natal Mercury retrograde is simply being more reflective or introspective on, let's say, knowledge or communication, etc. They may take something to heart more, or they may reflect on things a lot more. But you have to remember, the soul chose to come in that way for a specific reason. So if you are like that, it's like that for a specific reason, as that's part of who you are. Okay, that's not something to look down upon or think that it's negative. It's not negative. Some people wish they could reflect on things a lot more. Okay, they wish they had the time to, or they wish that they could, or, their mental state is maybe more scattered and they wish that they could take the time to reflect, right? So it's not a bad thing to be more introspective in that way. Not at all. And they're reminding me again that it's how this energy is used. It might not be that way, or it might be introspective or reflective in a certain specific way based on sign, house, aspect, all of this other stuff. But even with that, it's the intent that is then applied to those energies from your higher self, your soul, in creating you, that then creates you or comes about or has a distinct purpose for whatever that is. Okay, so it's not a detrimental thing, and it doesn't have to be. Or if you feel like, oh, it's reflective and I don't want that or whatever, I think maybe just realize that that's not a bad trait, and actually, get to know yourself a bit more, learn to love yourself a little bit better, because your unique individual person is everybody else's unique individual person. Don't think negatively on these things or think that they are manifesting in a negative way, or because it's in your chart it must be negative. Remember, it's how it is used, or how it was used to create this character of you. And doing these readings intuitively can, if you're privy to this information, help you to understand the actual intent behind it. The last point here, and I kind of touched on this already, is like technology failures and accidents increase. They're reminding me again that the retrograde is more of like a bigger period for these things to occur, but it's not the only period for these things to occur. As we have all these other aspects and transits and whatever happening in the sky all the time. Okay, and it's not, I don't want to say it like in the sky, but there's these existing energies and portals and stuff where we can apply our intent from wherever we are within this energetic system to then build and create and do whatever. And so if there are technology failures or accidents or whatever, those things happen because, again, that they're attracting these failure points or whatever. And Mercury retrograde is more of a bigger one to attract these things. But there's other aspects that could occur, or transits, etc., that could do this as well. But they attract these things for a reason, as a wake-up call that, like, hey, we need to look at this, fix this problem so that it doesn't happen again. And same thing a lot with technology. A lot of software and a lot of stuff is really pushed out at such a rapid rate that there maybe isn't enough testing done on it, or there isn't enough, full understanding of, certain, what do they call it when testing, like if the user inputs this, I forget what it's called, but you test all of these different things that could occur. You're not going to be able to test absolutely everything, right? So there are some things that may come up for a reason that have to get dealt with. They lead to security vulnerabilities and all these other things. Well, yeah, that happens. So you're now aware of it. You can deal with it so that it doesn't happen again. Learn the lesson, grow from it, and move on. Okay, we are all here to learn, grow, and experience. All right, these aren't bad things, but these things do come up for a reason, whether it's a Mercury retrograde or whether it's attracted in another way. Mercury retrograde is only one way for this to occur, and it is not the only way, but it is one of the bigger ways in which that it can occur. All right, so basically the final takeaway for this should really be, don't listen to the fear that is out there, and understand that's how this energy is being used, and that you have power and control over your intent behind the use of these energies. And that includes, getting your shit together, taking care of yourself, being responsible, and taking care of this stuff so that the retrograde can't really attract these things or can't affect you in that way. And even if it does, just deal with it. Because it's coming up for a reason, and it's for your own growth, learning, and understanding to deal with these problems and issues in your life so that you don't have to deal with them again. All right? So I hope this was at least somewhat informative, understanding, and just don't give in to the fear that things aren't as scary as they seem, or don't have to be as fearful as they seem. The word that I'm getting again is intent. Okay? It's about the intent, or our intent in using these energies, and the intent behind these energies and what they're there for. All right? So if you've made it this far in the video, please leave a purple heart in the comments so that I know you're a real one. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all so much. If you're looking for any kind of a reading with me, or any other information on me or what I do, you can head on over to my website, mysticalmark.ca, or check out the links in the description below. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.